everyone. Welcome to Infinite Wellness, where you will find everything health, wellness, and consciousness. I am your host, Noelle Agape, and I am so thankful today to have our beautiful guests because they are this amazing conscious couple, Sage Law and Alyssa Love. They are absolutely beautiful. They are conscious. Sage Law is absolutely incredible. He is a multidimensional artist, and he just really is such an incredible man that changes the vibration of this planet and lives in the divine masculine. And Alyssa Love is a pure goddess. She is absolutely beautiful. She is really pure divine light. And she really is a woman's empowerment coach. And she works with women to just get them to the best version of themselves. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So good.
So tell us a little bit about you guys and what you do, because you're so powerful and so magnificent and you just shine so bright and really do change, like everyone you work with, you change their lives. So tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
Well, I guess even what I do, it's always evolving, right? Because so much of it is just rooted in my own growth and what I'm learning on my own journey and kind of helping bridge that gap for people when they're on their spiritual paths and they're trying to, step into their next best self, whatever that looks like, right? So because of the things that I've experienced and gone through and the things that I've studied and learned through my life, I'm able to kind of create like a bridge for people from where they are to where they want to be. And so much of that for me is personally rooted in helping women to embrace like their feminine energy and really understand that, especially in a world that is so masculine driven. And we're taught to hustle and push and strive and kind of operate from this imbalanced place. And so for me, it's really helping women to come back to their own feminine energy and find that balance within themselves so that they can manifest the life that they want. But it doesn't have to be in such a like push hustle kind of way. It's more flow and magnetism and gentle. So it's really infusing that like ease and flow into their life.
That is so beautiful and so needed in this world. My gosh. And you truly do. You are like a divine goddess, really. And I see that. I see that with the depth of my soul. She really is, right? Really. And so how about you, Sage? What tell us what you do?
I say multidimensional artist and omniscient. I guess I've gone the route of looking to monetize on my content, create something for people that can resonate with where I've been through my life, in my life. I do find that these people are, I guess, magnetized to my work. So much so that, I can't really say how I'm helping them exactly because it tends to expand through so many different avenues of like, whether it's like my stories, my art, my writing, my films. So as I could say, like multidimensional artist, omniscient, it allows me to just take all the information that comes in, because we're doing so much conscious personal development, spiritual work, to just like, be our better selves, right? So I'm able to use these titles, right, as wide as they are, to channel this information into form, whether it's my writing, my art, something like that, to where I know that I can put that out. I don't have to stress about say clients, because that did get to be a little bit heavy for me when I was going with the one-on-one or working to like try to do some group programs, which that like it wasn't for me. Right?
I get it.
Right? So I'm able to put out these things and just help whoever's entertained. Really, if I could. There's this formula we come upon recently, which is to entertain, educate, and inspire. Right, to have that impact. And as I'm able to like take all of these different things that are coming in, this wisdom, this channel, I can put them out in so many different ways. And the response back in that way, when I'm not looking for it to like land anywhere, is huge. That's where I really get fulfilled.
That's so amazing. And you truly are a creative. Like your work is so brilliant and so beyond it is so next level, really. It really is. And I love that it's coming from such a conscious place, because that really is your vibration that you spread to the universe is just amazing. I mean, the two of you together are such a powerhouse. And so let's talk about that. You really are. Let's talk about that, and you guys in having a relationship that is a conscious relationship, because that is not easy in any way, shape, or form. And I know that I know a little bit about you guys' story, but how did you get, one, to be where you are, and two, just like living consciously with each other? And you are so supportive of each other. You are so motivated by each other. You really truly are like a massive powerhouse conscious couple. So we want to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So, well, I think for me, where the big change really happened was in my previous relationship, because I was with someone who was not conscious at all. And as I was starting to kind of have my awakening and become more and more conscious, it just fell so out of alignment that it fell away. And, at the time it was kind of like, I was very aware that it was all working out for me, all meant to be. And I took that time to kind of like focus more inward, focus on loving myself, on like integrating this new level of awareness that I was receiving, right? And it was like literally at that time, like when I really felt like, okay, I finally love myself. Like I really love myself. I remember like saying that to myself out loud, like, wow, I love myself. And it was literally that day that he messaged me on Instagram, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And we started talking there, and it turned out that he was literally 4 minutes away from where I was living.
Right? Yeah. I thought she was like in India because
That's amazing.
Yeah. At this time, let's say Literally Magic, right? The website that I had designed, it was taking other people of influence, their accounts, and sharing their information like a blog. So I came across her feed, and as I'm looking at her feed, it looks like she's traveling through India. Mm-hmm. She's doing her spiritual work, but had no idea that the gap would close that quick. It was one photo on her feed of she with her old dog, and like the way she had this dog, this pit.
Luna.
Yeah, Luna was over her shoulder, just like licking her face. But I saw like the two of them smiling, of course, but I noticed the dog smiling. Like, and I've met Luna a few times. Like we instantly connected, but I did just like notice that. And you just like you fall for someone, But I think a lot of people are falling in love with like Instagram photos, right? But it just like in addition. Like for me, it took me a lot to go through in order to be able to communicate with her like that. I had my own fall from grace, right? Like, I had my own fall, and that kind of like trickled into like I need to do the work if I'm going to communicate with people, if I'm going to be impactful, if I'm going to have an expression, right? If I'm going to have a carbon footprint on the world to say that I was here. And when I like did that work, things evolved, and so much had occurred to get me here in LA. But as I met her, like it really all made sense. I mean, even before I moved here to where I am, I was in Hollywood staying at a homeless shelter, and then I finally like got it all together, figured out I didn't want to be there anymore because you're trying to like get out of this place. You seem trapped, but then made a decision to get out of there. Started working hard in order to, I guess, afford the resources, right? Because you have to position yourself. So I finally did that, and then it just like snapped into place where we meet online. I have the time to do this, that, and the other thing. And it's just like life had been like kind of treacherous up until the point of where I finally got out of that homeless shelter. And then when we met, it was like, you talk about hitting like rock bottom in life, and then you like can see yourself on the opposite side. She and I, we just like bounced back the other direction, having been through all we went through. So we did share right from the beginning, super transparent, which is a note for anyone, right? To be super transparent, sharing everything. That was able to take us like, the opposite direction from bottom, being transparent and willing to say any and everything, being considerate, and also like being in real love. we were
Yeah.
in like real love from the beginning.
But even in that, like for me in the beginning, it was,
Yeah.
I mean, it was easy to fall, but I was like not wanting to. I did not want to fall in love. I was not interested in being in a relationship. I was supposed to move to Costa Rica, actually. Like literally, I had broken my lease. I sold all of my stuff. I was living with a family member just for like the final months. I had my ticket, my one-way ticket, and like everything. And I met him 1 month before I was supposed to go.
Mhm.
So to me, I was like, okay.
Happy me.
I was like, we're just having fun, right? Like this is not becoming anything. We're not going anywhere with this. We're just gonna have fun. I'm going to Costa Rica, you know. But of course, it didn't happen that way. You know, it was all kind of like divinely aligned to allow me to release those old things that needed to be released, and you know, step into like a completely new chapter. You know, for myself and also like with this person, and I mean, we had like some rocky moments in the beginning as far as like being, you know, like you were saying, like being a conscious couple is not necessarily easy, you know, and I think it definitely has different challenges than you know, like what I had experienced before being with somebody who wasn't conscious at all. I
wasn't holding back.
Yeah, I mean, it was the only reason it really worked was that we didn't hold back. Like we were completely transparent with each other, you know, like any and everything that I was thinking or feeling or experiencing or wondering or second guessing, like I shared it all, right? And I think if you're in that place of holding back or wearing a mask or playing games, it's hard for it to work, you know?
Right. Yeah. I guess like we had opportunities to do that, to like play that game. You know, and I would say that for she wanting to go to Costa Rica, having the ticket booked, right? She was there, you know. But of course, that energy shifted when we came together. Though I could still see, like at that time, I was talking to her, just telling her what the atmosphere surrounding that situation was, and really why she was going, because I knew the whole story, and I had to be.
Really, I was running away.
Yeah, like, I had to be honest. I had to give her that whole archetype, the breakdown of what that is, to be running away from a trauma, and not healing it here, so that you can just experience it somewhere else, right? Everyone's running from something that's within them. I guess
wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, that saying.
That's
right?
what you. You're telling me that all the time.
So we dug into that to that truth, and we just kind of we let it unfold. It wasn't as intense to me. To me, like, all right, we were going through it, you know. And my arms were open to whatever was happening, you know. Just kind of like, all right, she's gonna go. If she's not, she's not. But all in all, everything's gonna work out because we still had this experience. Yeah,
he right? Like literally held the space for me to like have the experience and go through those challenges and have all this stuff come up and still be healing like this major trauma without trying to like fix me, right? And without being like, well, you got to get this figured out so that we can be together or anything like that. He literally was just like holding the space.
Wow, you guys said like 1,000 amazing nuggets in that little segment right there. So the first thing that you said, Alyssa, was self-love. And until you have self-love, you really can't be love, right? You can't emanate love out into the universe when you're not living in self-love. And trust and faith and going through the hardship and knowing that that is pushing you towards your purpose. I mean, Sage, you being in the homeless shelter and now being like this dynamic man that you are. I mean, it's such a powerful, powerful story that you guys have, because literally, and it's so great for our viewers because it really truly sees that, you know, life is life. And I teach this all the time. It never really is just, bubbles and unicorns and everything is happy. Yes, we live in joy, right? We all live in joy, but we have to go through circumstances to get to understanding the vibration and understanding living in joy and understanding that things are going to happen in life, and trusting divine timing. And when you open up that space, the universe just says, here's your gift. Thank you so much for putting in the hard work, right? And you guys have both done that. That's so amazing. So tell me a little bit about how you feel about self-love. Both of you guys are tremendous in that vibe. And I just want to, because on Instagram and every post that you guys do is really, truly coming from a place of love. And your vibration that you send out is magnituded by love. It's magnituded by, there's nothing ever and authenticity. I mean, I think those are the two things that you guys really do preach, but you live, like you self-love and authenticity. So talk to me a little bit about that, because that's so powerful, and you guys live it, really, truly do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, self-love was a major journey. Like hating people with disordered eating and body dysmorphia, and that really like ruled my life for a while. And so, like I think for me, like the journey, it was slow. It wasn't like an overnight thing. It wasn't a quick fix, right? And it really took me getting to that point of, my rock bottom moment, which was, like my divorce and all of that, where I was like, whoa, I had completely lost myself. I had lost my identity. I had lost like who I was. I was putting all of my, like my worth and my validation in somebody else's hands. Right. And I realized like, I can't do that. Like it doesn't matter no matter what you do if you don't love yourself first. And so after that happened, that became like my focus, was to just love myself, give myself the things I need, ask what I need, like just asking myself, like, what do I need? That alone was so like transformative, because I was always trying to do something for somebody else, or, be worthy enough of love and to receive that from somebody else, rather than just filling myself up and knowing that I'm already worthy. I don't have to prove myself. I don't have to do anything to become worthy. And, it was definitely it took a while for me to rewire those beliefs and those thoughts in my mind, because it was so ingrained in me. And I think for a lot of women it is, well, everybody really, right? I say women because I work with women, so I see it like so much, but it's, it was definitely a slow and steady journey of just like constantly focusing on loving myself. And like I said, like the moment I really realized, wow, I actually love myself, like it opened up the floodgates of of being able to receive that in reflection.
I love that. That's amazing. And how about you, Sage?
Yeah, but also in addition, I do see, because we both work on this stuff daily, allowing the things to come up and then like speaking it out, right? Calling it out. And it had been like maybe like 2 months ago or something like that. We had an experience where, it brings up patterns and some of the conditions that are like beyond us. So much so that like we can bring them up to one another, and it can be like so spooky in how real and like how real that truth can be when it just like confronts you. And I pride myself on being brave as well, but also looking at like the work that she does dive into that truth and like the feminine, the whole divinity of things beyond the corruption of that image. And I think that's like hugely brave, because a lot of times I don't see really anyone, or like not many people, who are speaking directly on those things about deconditioning the corruption of like the feminine figure. So.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's exactly what you do, Alyssa. So, I mean, I think that that's such a beautiful segue for us to tell the world what you do, because it's such a beautiful gift, really. What is it specifically you do working with women? I know you empower them and embody them to live their best life, but tell us a little bit more about in-depth what, like the process that you go through with your clients.
Mm-hmm. So the foundation of it is deconditioning. Right. So for a lot of my clients, it's deconditioning where their worth comes from, right? What they are really striving for, because so many women are striving just to look a certain way, mm-hmm. or to be seen as sexy, or to be, kind of fit this image or this mold that we see. We're constantly marketed to. of what we should wear, how we should look in the clothes, the makeup, the hair, the whole, it's all external, right? And then in that, we're also told what to eat, you know, it just
Who to
goes,
be.
who to be. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. We're told who to be constantly. So with it being so image heavy, a lot of what I do is helping women to decondition that idea of what they should look like, right? And then in that, it's also what you should feel like, what you should be striving for, right? Like, I have nothing against creating goals and desires and, you know, resolutions or whatever it might be, but getting to the root of like, well, why do you even want that, right? I initially was working with a lot of women who wanted to lose weight and helping them to kind of uncover like the spiritual reason around that. But what I've found, and you know, just through working with so many women, is that it's like not even about that at all. It's not about the weight at all. You know, so many of them are having this desire for looking a certain way. And what I found was the women that were coming to me were not even overweight, but they had this idea that they needed to change their bodies. And so my work started to evolve into more of just helping women to understand where their worth truly comes from, right? Which is just like their innate, natural, like state of being. They are already worthy, helping them decondition any ideas or thoughts that they need to be anything outside of that. And finding their own like power and radiance that comes from within, not looking for something outside of themselves to prove that, right? And teaching them to connect to that power, where that power comes from, you know, how to connect to their intuition, their inner guidance. You know, it's kind of like this inside out journey of grounding them in who they truly are and allowing those layers of conditioning to start peeling off so they can become actually clear of what their true desires are, what their soul is aligned with them, you know, pursuing and moving towards.
Wow, that's so beautiful and such a gift to this world. You really are such a gift to this. Both of you are such a gift to this world, and I honor you for that. You really, truly are just so magnificent and so like powerful. So that's what I teach. Like all of that is what I teach as well. And so let's talk about internal guidance system because you guys are, you know, I work with energy and I work in the quantum fields and all of that stuff. So let's go super deep because I know you guys can and the knowledge of the quantum fields and energy and all that stuff because that's where we like to play, right? So let's explain it to the viewers of, you know, the different vibrations and having your internal guidance system and listening to your body. That's literally, I mean, I can't preach that enough is listen to your body. You have this internal GPS that is so powerful, right? And it says, no, go here. No, you got to go here. No, you're not listening. Go here. Okay, I'm going to pull the rug out for a minute, right? And so let's talk about that because I know both of you are so knowledgeable with that.
Okay. And what was that again? And what was the question?
So let's talk all energy and quantum fields and living in authenticity with that, but also your internal guidance system of how you can literally manifest your reality because everything is within inside of you.
Cool. I've done a lot of work in that realm. So much so because I have ambitions, right? Different than what they once were, but wanting to become something other than what I was. I had like a real, I guess, a rush within me. Like I say, rush, like needing to accomplish something in a certain amount of time that made me act so fast to where when I had been like shut down through my trauma, my depression, and finding all of the tools that were necessary for me to like be significant in the world where I could like go out again, be talking to people, be doing things. I started to like express myself, and in that journey through expression, revealing more and more of these layers, you know, of truth, to see that if I'm going to embody these traits that are greater within the world, so that I can be I guess more of a reflection of the world, right? That which creates the world, then I have to become flexible. I have to allow things to impact me. I need to like do this work of actually like not, you know, saying something and then like having that be something that I kind of like work on and do, I need to like just do it. I have to step into that thing, whatever it is. So going throughout the entirety of that journey, just really picking myself apart, and finding within that the wisdom which rests, I guess, within our being. So I guess the closest I can relate it to would be channeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
But beyond what we know as channeling to connect with this other thing, I was able to, I guess, find that base, that whole landscape from which everything arises, and then that's when things kind of like began to tick, where I can understand the mechanism, I can understand myself now. In doing that, what is the authentic part of me, and I can separate those two by seeing what is the construct, that which has been conditioned, and then what is that thing for which I feel most aligned with, what really ignites me, seeing how my energy is like spiking or plummeting, and really working with that to where, I'll tell you, we had a moment a long time ago where I was like, I remember I called her. This is like kind of funny to say, but I'm gonna just go with it.
Love that.
But I was like, but I had this whole moment, right? And there is much more truth though. I'm seeing it in a different light now, right? But I was like, I'm psychic. Like I can see every. I went through like this thing, right? And yeah, it's true. We all have this certain ability, but to transcend beyond ourselves, to reflect what that other person is doing, right? To see what they're doing, so much so that I could understand them, not through like opposition, but compassion, being on their side, sharing, observing. That was like a huge launch in how I could really work with my energy and that which is in the room, right? The potential within the space. And now, I mean, every day, that's what we're kind of like launching off of, like waking up, from the dream, in the dream, and then continuing to manifest thereafter.
And that's such an amazing thing that you said, is because really waking up from the dream into the dream, right? Because when we dance with the universe, that's really what it is. It's
Right.
it's going from dimension to dimension. And my viewers know I do quantum physics and have worked in quantum physics for forever. And but going super deep on the basic level, you don't have to understand quantum physics. You said one thing that I want to touch on is that you can feel energy from other people. Have you ever walked in the room and you're just like, oh, I don't like the vibe of this room, right? And go with that intuition. No, don't go there. That's not the right place for you, right? Go, meet Alyssa online because that was the right thing for you. And it's just listening, because it is literally all within us. And this internal guidance system that we have is so beautiful and so strong. And if we just literally take the time, I meditate all the time. I know you guys do as well. But take the time to focus on the feelings within our body. Everything is there to teach us, right? And so, Alyssa, how about you? I know you teach this too. So talk a little bit about connecting to your internal guidance system and the energy of people and things like that.
I think something that you have said about, kind of coming out of a place of like our traumas and stuff that we go through, right? And so many of us have different traumas that we're affected by, or just distractions in our life. And that kind of pulls us out of listening to our body, right? We end up living in our heads rather than living in our bodies, or living fully like integrated. And, when you're talking about like learning how to express ourselves again, it's like just tapping into your own expression and tapping into the moment, really, like actually being present.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of the most basic things, but it's like we learn it on deeper and deeper levels every day, every moment. Yeah. And it's like learning how to just stop numbing. I think so many of us really find all these different ways to numb and distract and tune out, check out, and it's disconnecting us, right? It's like it's disconnecting us from that, like you call it, the GPS system, or internal GPS, and that was like a big thing for me to learn, was recognizing all the places that I'm numbing. And at first I kind of like demonized those things, right? Being like, oh, this is terrible now. I can't do that. Like I need to do anything but that. And it's just been more of like a relationship of seeing like, okay, how can I maybe do these things differently? Or recognize when I go into those places and say like, okay, there's something that I'm numbing here. Like use it as information
Mm-hmm.
rather than just getting upset with myself and being like so hard on myself, right? And it can be anything from, you know, like when I was really in like disordered eating and that sort of stuff to like a Netflix binge, you know? There's like it's such a wide spectrum, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad to tune out every once in a while, but it's just becoming aware of when you are and really asking yourself why. You know, what were the little dings in your energy that led up to that point where you feel like you had to numb out, right? Or what were maybe those bigger things that you've been pushing down or, you know, ignoring that are going to cause you to continually keep numbing out, right? And is it time to face those things, right?
That's so amazing. Thank you for that. I mean, numbing out is just such a perfect phrase for that, right? Because that's what people do. We're going to have some wine. We're going to have some sugar. We're going to have, some, you know, whatever it is that they're going to put into their body. Like you said, going on the internet and just, you know, zoning out instead of tapping in, it's numbing out. And I love that because that really, some people are scared to face their inner demons. And I promise you, you guys know this, but you know, if you run from whatever you're running from, it's going to catch you because it's different places and different circumstances that the lesson will repeat itself in your life, right? And so instead of numbing out, feel what's going on in your life and change that, right? Or you know, there's always the same vibration. You can't, something can't exist in your life without the opposite vibration being there, right? So if something is showing up in your life that you have to numb out, then tap into that and figure out how to get to the opposite of that, right? Let's talk about forgiveness, guys, because you guys had a lot of life things that happened in your life. You know, you having your massive divorce and you living in a homeless shelter. So I talk about forgiveness and forgiving the situation and forgiving like others, but forgiving yourself the most, right? So let's talk about getting to a place where you were in this massive trauma and then you had to forgive the situation and yourself and the people that were involved in that, because forgiveness is the highest vibration for healing, right? So let's talk a little bit about that.
With forgiveness, I guess I forgave myself first before I forgave anyone else. I was on an expedited track to change because things were bad, and from that time they had gotten worse at that period of my life. But I was doing so much to help myself grow, though it did come back like later, like maybe like a year or two later, where I had another experience that said I had to confront like what was kind of dissolved prior. So for me to forgive myself further, I had to also forgive everyone else, recognizing that they are just as susceptible to I guess the consequences within this reality as I am, because they're playing within the same realm, right? That's why we exist here together, and I can call them old families and friends and that kind of thing. So when I did that whole turn towards that direction, things did grow, you know, within my own being. But I also had to recognize, just to be like completely open and honest about it, I had to recognize that I could only do so much. That it was still up to me to, of course, manage some other people's energy, even if that meant, you know, like making that commitment to say that's what it was when it comes to like our relationship, whether it's friends or family, though it is no more, and I'm going to carry on being who I am. And you know,
those boundaries.
Yeah, creating those boundaries, and it becomes like this whole tough decision of like, what if I'm gonna grow? I gotta do this. If I don't do this, can I? You know, like this whole thing. And then of course stepping into my own authenticity and saying, whatever I had once heard before from someone else's story is no longer relevant because I'm creating my own path. And then seeing that forgiveness not just in myself, them as family and friends, but literally everyone, you know, for whatever they're dealing with, because it doesn't affect me unless I allow it to. And seeing how I was doing that, how I was allowing all these different things to kind of come into my reality, to where you can care not enough feeling guilty, or you can care too much and you're feeling guilty. And I just said, I'm not going to feel guilty, even if I have to continue to work back from doing something wrong, right? If that's what it was at the time, then so be it. I have to trust in my own ability to know that whatever I'm doing is for me and within my lane, and then forgiving myself continually, right? Knowing that I only know so much where I am, and things are still to come. I can be surprised for what's to come in the future, and that's exciting.
Mhm.
That's amazing. And how about you, Alyssa?
I think for me, it also had a lot to do with creating those boundaries, creating those boundaries first to have that space to be able to um, reconnect to myself and find that forgiveness. But what also really came with forgiveness was deciding to step out of the victim role and recognize that everything is always working out for me. The universe is moving in my favor. Like all of these things are happening for a reason, as cheesy as that might sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it sounds cheesy. And I think that it's truly living in that space, right? You do live in that space. And so let's talk about the victim, because that's such a big role that people play, right? And it's, in self-love, it's very easy to say, this happened to me, life happened to me, as opposed to this is happening with me for me to grow and expand, right? So let's talk about living in the victim and how not to do that. You guys are really amazing at embodying like the whole self. You really truly embody your whole self in all that you do. You're super healthy, you exercise, you live in you. You never, and you take accountability, and if stuff happens, you're always like, this happens and this is how I'm feeling today, right? And so let's talk about that, because I know there's many times, especially like on Instagram, you're like, I had a really bad day, and you talk about it, and you go from there. So just living victoriously as opposed to living in the victim. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I know for me, that was something I really had to learn. And even like in our relationship, I noticed that I definitely had the tendency to take that victim role. And once I realized that, I kind of had that moment, oh my God, I've been playing the victim for so long. And you just get to this point where you're like, okay, like anytime something happens, whether it's like with another person, with your partner, driving in the car, like any of those things, like you can take it one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
You can be the victim, or like I tell my girls, like queen mode, like
I love it.
embody that queen, because she's never going to be the queen that I imagine, at least the like goddess, the very like feminine, is never in that space of blame or pointing the finger, or that whole like damsel in distress. It's like you get to like save yourself in the moment. You get to like own up to something in my energy, something in my vibration attracted this person, situation, conversation, whatever it is, and it's happening for me. Even if it's challenging, even if it hurts, like I'm going to grow from this. I'm going to learn from this. And that's how I was able to kind of change that pattern from being in the victim mode and making the people around me like the bad guy, to letting that go and having so much more ease because of it, right? So much less stress because of it, less turmoil, really.
Yeah, and I mean, to step out of the victim role, it was a choice, because I did see that things still had arrived in my life while I was at a disadvantage, and I had read something that talked about like coddling like the male figure and how it can really suppress that passage into true masculinity, right? So I'm like looking at myself at this time to say, I know who I am, I know what I'm possible, or I'm not sure who I am, but I know that I'm capable. That whatever it is that needs to happen in this lifetime in order to like have this expression that just keeps demanding its way out, like this thing that like wants to find its way out of your chest and just let people know that it's here. Whatever it is to do that, I'm gonna do it. And it was a commitment. It said, well, I have to learn, how to speak. I have to learn some like NLP. I have to like go here and do this. I have to like meet people. It was whatever it took in order for me to be a real man, right? And of course we can like break down what the real like man is.
I was actually just going to say, so let's, because you guys embody the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So let's go there, because you truly, I mean, we each have both within us, the yin and the yang, obviously, but you guys are so like, you live in the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So let's talk about, because I think that's really important for our viewers, to a conscious man. What does that look like? I mean, a beautiful, empowered woman, like you said, Alyssa looks like a goddess living in her truth, right? What does a conscious man in a beautiful relationship like look like? Tell us what,
Yeah.
that.
I would say more so, what does it feel like?
Good.
Because like as the male figure, right? There is this whole demand that we like are like straight and narrow. You are a certain way. There's no emotion shown, and if there is, you're like it's tucked away, and it comes out in other things, right? It just kind of like finds its way to become this web within our minds that really keeps us caged, right? As men in the world that can manifest our own reality, right? Men and women, but to say like the male, we would say that the things are possible, right, for men and women. But you see that, like speaking on the male specifically, there is like this invisible cage that only says that like you're in a role. You have the boss, you have the manager, you have the employee, and you know, like some people do okay with that, but I'm not that person. You know,
Not at all.
I'm not that person. So, like, I do come across people that really resonate with that. So much so that, let's say, men, if they're not in that role, they do have that thing that says, I need to like break out of this cage because I can, right? Or maybe not just because they can, but because something is calling them to act, right? To do more than what they're doing. For so long, I had it in my mind that said I wanted to have an impact on the world. And I know that was just that masculine part of me, right? When I'm saying masculine now, I'm speaking more so the masculine within the woman and the male. But that masculine part of me that said that it needs to do something. It needs to have a real impact beyond what I was seeing that's supposedly popular. Like I couldn't go out anymore because that wasn't the thing. Hanging out with certain people or wanting certain things, it wasn't justifiable for who I was becoming. So as I looked to this masculine figure, I did find a lot having to do with creating that container, because she, right, as a divine feminine, as the woman, she has more so the essence, while I have like, you know, the hammer, you know, like, you know, I'm really like the will, you know, while she's like the force. So while I'm like doing all this work, and of course having to work on that with her in the meantime, I just found that I had to like really be this container. And of course I had done a lot prior to this, but but like it really set me up to have that success where she comes in, she's so in touch with her feminine that I have to really be a strong masculine, because now she's showing up, I have to show up, I need to be a strong container for her, right? I need to be able to speak up and like defend her if that's necessary, or of course at the same time like provide that wisdom and knowledge to her so that we can bounce back and forth, and she can help me say things that I can't say and help her say things that she can't say, right? So being like literally on the level. I know that a big part of this journey for men is looking at how am I going to like relate to this woman? But meanwhile, because society has conditioned us to be like maybe like seen in a different light, observed in some type of way, versus like women who really have been suppressed. Like that power supposedly doesn't exist to be able to like do things in the world. But meanwhile, like it's obvious that there is a calling like within the woman to like be doing things, and there is a truth in that like power that is equal. So you see a lot of like men trying to like maneuver, manipulate, and do all these different things. But meanwhile, it's like all right, she's a woman. She's in a woman, right? But I am also I'm a man in a man, and I have to treat her as a reflection, as opposed to like the men are treating women as like some creature. And that's like totally bogus. And that's why you see so many things just going completely outrageous in society, because people aren't being seen as equal. I can't even say it's not even people. We're not seeing souls as equal, right? As being that one energy. And I can come across so many different things just on Instagram where it's like looking to create these different sides and put people against one another, when the topic of conversation can go totally different if we just look at everyone to be on the level. Even if they're not on the level, someone that you're speaking of that doesn't quite get it, there's still a language about them that could be brought about so that they can speak and have their expression. And I will say that because I do the work, man or woman, whoever they are, I want to have the ability to help them do that, which is why we find this work, right? So yeah, like I had to find my own passage through that to be able to see women on the level, because I was subject to it too, right? Looking at music, media, and just seeing things go in a completely different direction than where I wanted to go, right? Wanting to have that respect for everyone, but then being like, whoa, like I'm not being respected. Why am I not being respected? Why are women treated that way? That doesn't feel right. Like, why, it's just asking all these questions, finding the answers and then acting on it. And that was like that masculine will of saying, I'm going to act on these things that I find.
Got it. So, I mean, there was so beautiful. Everything about that literally is how you truly do honor women and you honor souls, right? And just understanding people have different levels of consciousness, but we're all here in this together. I mean, that was just a beautiful gift. Thank you for that. And Alyssa, how about you? I mean, I know you teach the divine feminine so strongly, right? But you truly embody living in the divine feminine, and you are seriously, I mean, I've said this over and over again, but like just, if I could say goddess, like I would put you a picture of you there, right? So living in that space of as a conscious female in the world that we live in today, tell us a little bit about that for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that I'm constantly discovering more and more. And for me, the biggest thing that has helped me to really embody that is understanding cycles. Right? So like the cycles within our body, our menstrual cycle as women, but that also is related to the moon cycles and to the seasons and life cycles. So really understanding the different energies that go with each of those cycles and learning from each of them, learning how to really embody each of them. I mean, I literally could talk about this forever, but I want to give you just like a little snippet of it. So whether it's our actual cycle, like our menstrual cycle in our body, or the moon cycle, it's all correlated to seasons. So spring, summer, fall, and winter. And each of those phases, they have a different energy. And so the spring and summer energy are actually masculine, right? So even as a woman, like you said earlier, we all have both, right? Masculine and feminine, same with men, right? So it's learning how to integrate those energies during those phases, and then stepping into the fall and winter, which is the darker energy, and that's the feminine. And the feminine is actually dark energy, and not dark as far as like evil or bad or anything like that. It's like the yin and the yang, like you were saying. So it's the diving deeper. It's the essence. It's like the depth, right? And so just really starting to understand those cycles and get really familiar with my body and the cycles that I'm going through and the different phases that I'm in, and aligning my life with that rather than pushing against it like I had done, and most people do, right? Especially if you work like a regular job and you are expected to show up the same every single day, when our hormone fluctuations and the changes in our bodies, they support us to show up certain ways in certain phases, right? And it doesn't mean that one is better than the other, it's just different. Sometimes we're more external, we're more social, we're more able to form sentences. And other times, like the cycle I'm in right now, it's hard to find the words, right? You don't find the words as easy, but you're much more intuitive because you're naturally, you're not in your head as much, you're in your body. It's almost like your brain turns off to a certain degree. And so a lot of women struggle in that phase because they're trying to stay in that heady space and that really like mental academic kind of space.
Men too, yeah.
Yeah. And men have cycles as well. But really the power is learning how to drop into your intuition in that space. That's when you're the most psychic. And if you're just worrying about forming sentences and being in your head, you're going to miss out on all of that. And then of course there's like our bleed time that so many of us are just trying to push through when there's so much power in surrendering, in just relaxing, in letting go, right? So for me, like I don't work for that first day. If I have calls, I don't do calls that week usually. If I have something that's scheduled on that day, I'll reschedule it because that's my day to just like not do anything, right? And I literally schedule everything according to my cycle now, which is maybe some people think is an extreme version of it, but just starting to learn about our cycles and the energies that are correlated to that. Because when we align to that rather than pushing against it, that's really when we are the most powerful. And we're able to really like feel in alignment rather than pushing and striving for something that isn't available to us. It's not in flow.
Yeah, I don't know how women are like working while going through like that time. I've been able to experience this a lot, like through her, because I'll see her energy, and a lot of times I'm reflecting that energy as well. Like she's going through it, I'm going through it, right? I get excited that we're gonna have pizza, we're gonna be like chilling, right? We're gonna do all that, and I just see how that manifests through her body, right? This cycle, and of course, like being much more mature and seeing the world differently now. Like looking back, I'm like, how is the world functioning in such a way that women have to like go to work and hide this thing and try to like always push? Like it just seems like torture almost, because your body is like asking for these different things. It feels a certain way. You don't want to be around people because you're doing something. It's the time to like be within your own thing. I don't know like how that is like really working. I feel like by this point in time, there would have been like a huge uprising, at least to like reform the whole structure of work within the States. I know it's super hard, right? People are trying to like create change in every way. And we do kind of see that. So we do see that once you chop the head off of one beast to kind of replace it, it becomes a little bit tougher in order to like change that aspect of society. So that's one thing that kind of like triggers me into being like, what do we got to do, right? Because wow, like to go. That sounds so. I feel like who just said that? Wow, I never say that.
Wow.
Wow. But it's like wild to me, because I know for me, if I'm feeling that way, right? When I feel sick, she's like, oh well, that's how I feel when I'm like going. I'm like, okay.
I'm not that sassy.
But then like it gives me a moment where I'm like, there's no way I would go anywhere feeling like this. So like that's like, I don't know, a pillar of strength. That's like a mark of strength, like for like what it means to be a woman, because to do that and still operate, doing all these things, let's say for most people who go into work, doing something they don't want to do, that's a superpower in itself,
I think that just kind of shows how much women are taught to hide their emotions and hide what they're feeling and put a mask on. That, just that circumstance, like when you're bleeding every month, you have to like whisper if somebody has a tampon or something like that. Like you can't even just be like, half of the world bleeds, It's all good.
Yeah.
And that, you have to show up. I did it for years. I would go to work and have like the worst cramps or just not be feeling energetic at all and have to put a mask on and have to pretend like everything's fine. Mm-hmm. Nothing's going on.
Men don't know. Yeah, like men typically, because it didn't come to me until around like the past like 2 years, right, where I was starting to really get that understanding through my own emotions, where I was able to take that in, process it, and have it make me feel a certain way enough to be like, that needs to change. Men have no idea what that sounds like. Even for a lot of people who are like married, of course, having been married myself and having talked to other men in relationships, the topic of conversation goes in like a different direction, still speaking within the same context, but it's more about like, oh, it's that time of the month. Oh,
Right.
she's going through it. Just
It's
give
a
her whatever she
negative
wants.
thing. It's like,
Yeah, she give whatever, do whatever she needs. That kind of, it's like more of that rather than like addressing it, like soothing, right? Holding that space. So that's another thing. It's like educating, of course, for women too. I think a lot of women are still doing that whisper thing and not really connecting there. But men need to know just as much, to step out of that ignorance, just to like, help each other.
Yeah, because it can be a sacred and even enjoyable time if you are aligning the rest of the phases as well. Like I noticed when I started to live in that energy, the rest of the time, not just while I was bleeding, but the rest of the month, I had such like more gentle periods. It was like my body didn't have to scream at me to slow down because I was already in alignment with my body and with the phases.
That's so incredible. And you guys are both so in tune with your body and with each other. I mean, really just the fact that so nurturing with and giving with her when she's going through that. But, one thing I think that it's the most important thing is it's the circle of birth, right? It's the circle of the cycle of birth and rebirth. I mean, think about fall and winter and coming, the leaves falling off the trees and then, rebirth in the spring. It's the same thing that our bodies go through and our cells go through every day. It's not even just our cycles. It's literally our bodies do that on a regular basis, right? And so how magnificent that you honor that and you honor the process of that, because that's such a beautiful, beautiful gift that you have, because so many people put that in such a negative energy. Oh, I got my period, or whatever it is. But honoring the cycle of birth and rebirth and knowing, and you truly, truly embrace that, both of you. You Sage through Alyssa, you do that by honoring her, and so that's just so incredible. And guys, I adore both of you completely. I think that you are truly one of the most conscious couples that I know, and you honor each other, you love each other, you have so much respect for each other. I just want to honor you in this moment, because you truly are such a gift to the world, and you have so much to give. I believe you're the perfect balance of the divine feminine and masculine come together, and I believe that you met in LA, and you were only 4 miles apart for a reason, right? There are not very many conscious couples that are on a journey together, and you guys are doing this together. So I honor you for that. So let's tell our audience, I think that's a perfect place to end. I mean, you guys gave so much nuggets. Let's tell our audience how they can get in touch with you. Maybe speak up a little bit, because that way we can hear you more clearly, and tell us how we can get in touch with you and if they want to work with you. And guys, if you want to change your life, and please work with them, because they are amazing, transformative coaches. They truly transform your lives. So take a listen. Women, Alyssa, if you want a woman that's going to change your world, it's Alyssa. And Sage is just this magnificent artist that comes across in so many dimensions. So follow them, work with them, do everything you possibly can with them, and tell us a little bit about you guys and how we can get in touch with you.
Yeah, well, we're both on Instagram.
Can you speak up a little bit? There you go.
Yeah, we're both on Instagram. My handle is iam.alyssalove.
Yeah, mine Instagram is @literallymagic. Yeah, same my website, www.literallymagic.com. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me. Yeah. Typically, like email. I guess the DMs I usually try to stay away from a little bit more, just so I can be off of Instagram, letting that just do what it does. And then primarily, primarily I'm doing a lot of artwork and kind of streaming this esoteric consciousness, right? Letting that come through with one-on-ones. It is something I'm open to, but to a niche market of people that are really trying to do this work. What I had found in doing it, they're just there are people that want to do the work, right? And there are people that want to say they're doing the work. And where I found the most joy was really from that individual that I came in contact with organically. This thing just kind of like manifests, and then you watch that change kind of occur. So working with me in that realm, it does take an individual who's ready, right? Who's in a position to really launch, because it's tough. Though my channel within the artwork through Literally Magic does speak volumes, for which a lot of value can be gathered there as well.
Yeah, and we both share so much
Yeah.
constantly on our Instagrams, Facebook. So just that alone is like, you have like so much value there.
Mhm.
But I also have some courses where I do e-courses, programs. But what we were speaking about just now with the cycles, I have a course called Divine Vessel Activation, which is exactly that. It's teaching you how to work with each of those cycles, how to really embody the feminine by learning the cycles, not just of your menstrual cycle, but the phases that we're all going through. So that's available on my website, Thrive with Alyssa. Yeah.
Cool.
That's pretty much it.
I'm so thank you guys so much for being on. And Sage, you honestly get the title for that is the coolest hands down handle in the entire world. Literally Magic. I just love that. That is, that's pretty amazing. And Alyssa, you are such a divine gift. Thank you guys for being here. I truly appreciate you. And to our viewers, you guys are beautiful. You are love. You are light. And know that you can make a difference in this world. Shine your light as bright as you can. And I promise that every day that you step into your power, the world is going to open up for you. Have a great day, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.